Alright everyone, welcome back to Shed Sim Golf. Today we are talking Wi-Fi mesh systems. I got my SkyTrack coming in a few weeks, and I got to figure out how to get good internet outside where we'll initially set it up, and then eventually we're going to move it to the shed. So how do you get good wireless connection when you're either outside, you're in your garage or detached shed, and you got to have a strong signal to run all of the SkyTrack software. So my initial thought was, well, I can just run a long Ethernet cord out there and have fast internet. There is some difficulty with running something like that all the way outside. So I went and got the TP-Link Deco M5 and set that up throughout the house, and actually set one up out in the shed too. So we're gonna test out the wireless connection with those on, with them off, and see if it's gonna make a significant difference. So let's check it out. All right, so we're starting in the family room. You can tell we got the Deco M5 set up there, hooked up to the router. We'll go ahead and test the speed in here. All the other M5s, all the other units are disconnected. You gotta keep this one connected to get any signal at all. So let's go ahead and try it out. All right, so fast internet in here, which you would expect. You're right next to the router. That's about the max I'll get anywhere in the house. I think it goes up to 600 megs, so good starting point. Makes sense. We're right next to it. Let's move on. All right, so we're moving down the hall here. This is where we have the units set up. So you can see the first one here is unplugged for our baseline test. Go ahead and check the speed. We're about 10 feet from the router here or so, so we'd expect not crazy decline in speeds, just being this far away. Okay, so definitely went down a decent amount. Make you a little concerned about why you're not getting the same speeds 10 feet away, so something to look out for, and we'll keep moving down the hall. All right, heading down the hall here. This is where we'd have our third M5 set up, and you can see it's off right now. We'll go ahead and test speeds here as well. Okay, so now you're about 25 feet away from the router and you're significantly lower speeds. It's struggling just to even get up into the double digits. Definitely not what you need when it comes to enough internet speed to run the software for the SkyTrack. So it's something that you would start looking at other options once you get into speeds this low. All right, one last stop. Now we're heading to the office, and this is actually why we went ahead and ordered these Wi-Fi extender mesh system, because working during the day, everyone's working remote right now, and so we just couldn't get stuff done because the speeds were so slow once you got further into the house. So go ahead and test here just for, again, a little baseline test. See if we can see what we can pick up. So now you're like barely even getting a meg. This is slow to even load a web page. You can tell none of the advertisements have loaded. So you're 25 feet or so, 30 feet down the hall and getting absolutely nothing in terms of internet. All right, so final spot is gonna be outside. Come around the corner here. So living room is, hi Bailey, welcome to the party. So living room's back there, so you're heading around the corner here. You can see this is where we're going to eventually have the SkyTrack set up. There's the shed that's going to be torn down at some point here, and we're going to go ahead and replace that with something a little bigger. It's going to allow for us to really enjoy some indoor golf. So this is where you're going to really want the speeds, and make sure that's enough. So went ahead and put a M5 up there. Again, you can tell that that one's off. So we'll go ahead and set this down. and test the speed outside about maybe 40 feet and a few walls away from the router. It looks like we're still connected to the internet. So outside, you got a few less walls in between here in the office. Not surprising to see. Maybe a little better speed. Again, you're gonna need something to run the simulator software that's a little stronger than that. So that kind of concludes our baseline test. Let's go ahead and switch these suckers on and see what changes. All right, so we're back in the family room here. You can see that we have all the deco hooked up again. That one's plugged in, light shining green. So we'll go ahead and get going with some speed tests now that everything's up and running here. All right, so speeds are high again. You're getting in that 500 range, which is similar to what it was, a little bit higher. But again, we're right next to the router, so you wouldn't expect this mesh network to have a huge impact on speeds when you're this close. Upload speeds are good. Again, obviously, if the simulator was in this room, nothing would be needed. It looks like it's plenty fast. All right, so back going down the hall here. Deco powered on. Again, we're about 10 feet away from the router. Let's go ahead and start this test here. So, I mean, you can see a little bit of a decline, maybe 100 megs or so, which would make sense. Obviously, we were losing about 400 or so megs when you moved out to the hallway. So, a significant increase. These are going to kind of connect wirelessly to each other, kind of extend that mesh network and get Wi-Fi throughout the house. So speeds look good here. We'll move on down the hall. So we're back at our third station. They recommend that you put these things kind of up high if you can. That one in the living room there is not super ideal to have up high. It just kind of looks obnoxious, but kind of do what you can. So speeds down the hall. Again, this is about 25 feet or so from the router with a pretty big brick furnace in the way. About half the speeds of the hallway in the living room there, which would make sense. I mean, you're a decent ways away, but these are plenty good speeds to run just about anything. 160s is going to be plenty for the SkyTrack software. So good to see there. Upload speeds high as well if you're uploading any videos or anything important to have. All right, moving on to the office. All right, so we're back in the office here. You got a few walls in between here. Again, this was the reason that we got these things, is to get better speeds in the office for video calls and everything that the current world requires of us. And again, I think it was, what, 1 or 2 megs when we didn't have these things on, and now you're up to 140 or so, which is, again, gonna be plenty to do anything that you need to do. So pretty freaking cool stuff. These are 150 on Amazon, and then I ended up getting the extra to put out on the shed to really get good Wi-Fi out there as well. So that's our last stop. Let's check it out. All right, so we're out at our last stop here, and the sucker's on. This is exactly where we would want. Good enough connection to run the SkyTrack, as we'll be here for a while, and then we'll get in that shed soon, as soon as I can get that thing set up. So let's see what we got outside. So, I mean, 60s, it's possible we can do a little finicking with the system to really get this optimal, but I mean, that's going to be plenty to run TGC software and get everything set up. Much better than the 8 megs we were getting when we were out here beforehand. So overall, big improvement. All right, so pretty clear that once you get the decos turned on, you're getting huge improvements on Wi-Fi everywhere, especially as you get further and further away from the router. One of the coolest things that I'm excited about is you can actually hook up an Ethernet cord to each of these stations, which is going to improve signal even more. So go ahead and demonstrate that, and we'll go from there. All right, so you can see that we have the Ethernet cable hooked up there. Obviously we'll get a longer one that we can hook up to the computer that's going to be running the simulator software, but this should be able to give us a good idea of what we are looking at in terms of speeds. So you're up pretty good from that 60 megs or so. If you're getting 140 megs per second outside, that's going to be absolutely plenty to run all the necessary software. So overall, I think these things are awesome. They're decently affordable, and they're going to give you Wi-Fi throughout your house and even a decent amount outside. Definitely recommend getting the additional one that you can put kind of right where you would want that extra coverage. And yeah, overall, seems like a really good deal and a good way to keep you from having outages. It sounds like the best way to go with SkyTrak is plugging Ethernet into the computer and then wirelessly hooking up the SkyTrak to the computer. It sounds like it results in the fewest misreads. So overall, I think it's a great deal and something worth investing in if you're having Wi-Fi issues throughout your house and outside.